Good afternoon, guys. I hope everybody is well. Morning, Denise. How are we all today? Good afternoon, Mohammed. Hope you're well. Let me just make sure that the mic is plugged in again. Yeah, it should be good. 8 a.m. in Arizona. Nice early start then. Is it still very hot over there, Denise? It's cold now in England again. We get about 2-3 days of really nice hot weather. And it goes cold for about 3 or 4 days. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Ryguy. Hi, Roberto. Oof. I don't think I could cope with that. Right, we'll get going in a minute. Let me know what markets you're watching, guys. Obviously, we had a bit of a shock move to the RBA last night or overnight. We saw them increase interest rates from 3.85% to the 4.1%. I kind of highlighted this in the week ahead analysis video, but I was looking more towards actually the Bank of Canada surprising us with a rate hike rather than the RBA. But a similar situation where you've got an economy which is growing, inflation not really coming down, being very sticky, and we're starting to see that the RBA, who we did actually pause in the last meeting, have decided to increase this meeting. So I thought investors have forecast that we were going to get a pause. We didn't get the pause in the end, and we saw a hike. So the Australian dollar has boosted slightly, which kind of goes against what I thought would happen to the Australian dollar, to be honest. So we'll take a look at how the Aussie has responded, and against sort of what currencies has it sort of responded against. And yeah, we'll take a look at that one. Obviously, we have the some other data coming up overnight. I can see I've got RBA Governor Lowe speaking, some GDP data out of Australia as well. So that could play into the hands of what's going on. And then we have the Bank of Canada rate statement tomorrow. So in terms of dollar news, there's not much really dollar news going on, although we did get the ISM services PMI data. That caused a little bit of caused quite a stir in the markets. We saw a little bit of battling going on there between the buyers and sellers of the dollar. I still think the dollar index heading to the 105 now. Let me just put myself in the corner. Let me grab my pen tool, actually, just so we're prepared. Carrie's long on the Frank 40. We've got Akintunde. Morning to you. And Denise is watching gold. Yeah, I'm also watching gold, actually. Very interesting position at the moment. So we will take a look at that. So let's go over to the dollar index. Always start on the dollar index. Always like to know where the dollar index is and how it's sort of shaping up for the week ahead. Technically, we're still in an upward trend here on this daily chart. So price making those higher highs and higher lows at the moment. So I'm still technically a dollar bull at the moment. Until that kind of changes for me, that's where I'm kind of, or that's what I'm waiting for, is that change in that dollar sort of strength and weakness. I still think 105 is the target for the dollar index at the moment, and that's where I'm going to be looking for me to sort of start scaling out of any kind of dollar positions at that point. If we break through that, then great. We've got the 105 spot 75, which could come into play, but at the moment, it's looking like we are still heading to the upside. Now, if I just go to the weekly chart, we did get a sort of bearish weekly close, which isn't great. Usually, if I start seeing things like that, I don't particularly like to position myself too aggressively at the moment, because I do follow the weekly chart quite a lot. I always like to know where the weekly chart is positioned. But like I said, 105s, 105.75, you can see are quite good areas for price to come and retest. So, and for me as well, I like to follow the 4-hour sort of trends as well. So if I go to the 4-hour, you know, we haven't really technically traded any kind of lower lows, lower highs. We did, you could argue that we got a little bit of a breakout down through here. But as soon as we came back into daily support, we started to see that buying coming back in again. So yeah, not on the bearish side of the dollar just yet. I think we're going to see a potential move up to that 105 and then maybe see that move to the downside. If I'm wrong, which is always a possibility, you know, can't always be 100% right, but if price maybe trades down below through these new formed lows and things like that, that's when I'll start to reconsider sort of my dollar bullishness at the moment. But right now, I'm going to remain a bit of a dollar bull until we get some kind of significant change there. Yeah, Denise, dollar still above 200-day. I'm assuming that's a moving average. I'll just pop one of those on the screen as well. Where has that gone? There we go. So yeah, just above the daily 200 moving average now. So maybe we're starting to see a bit of an accumulation around that area before seeing a move up to that 105. But yeah, 105 definitely something I'm looking to target. Means I'm kind of still looking for some euro downside here, euro dollar. I like the idea of being euro short. Again, if you kind of look at that weekly time frame, like I said, I don't really like it when we start seeing these kind of slow down candlesticks. So we'll just zoom in there. My chart's a little bit messy, guys, actually. Let me just take a bit of stuff off of this. Get rid of this one now as well. But we traded below the 1.0750 level, which is something that we were looking for targets a couple of weeks ago. We then formed this kind of almost doji looking candlestick, isn't it? And that to me shows that there's a sort of battle going on between buyers and sellers. So although it's not a sort of I got to get out now, it's a I need to start, you know, being a bit aware that maybe this price is coming down to a little bit of a place where it's going to slow down a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. But if we do expect that dollar to go to the 105s, then the 105.25 here is something I'm expected to be sort of retested. So yeah, again, kind of looking to see if there's any kind of opportunities to get involved with euro dollar. There was a really good chance when price spiked on that news, but I didn't take action there. We could argue that price is now starting to trade through some trend line supports as well. So, you know, if you're a sort of trend line break trader, you know, there's a potential breakout forming here, which could see price continue to trade to the downside there. So that's something that breakout traders could consider in the market. So yeah, going across the dollar yen. So still interested in dollar yen long as well. Quite like the idea of being a buyer here. Yen's still relatively weak. We have seen a little bit of strength coming back into the market, but not anything that kind of screams out again that it's going to start reversing anytime soon. And like I said, I like to follow this sort of, you know, weekly move, and we've broken through to the upside. You know, can we see price hit that 142? So you can see why I'm still sort of bullish on the dollar. You know, especially there are some, I suppose, positives coming out of the fundamental side of things. I know the ISM services PMI came in lower, but it was still above 50, although it was only 0.3 above it. So that's showing growth. There's still large expectation for the Fed to hike interest rates again. We've had the debt bill signed by Biden as well. So there's a lot of positives technically around for the US dollar. So yeah, that's the main sort of reasoning that I like the idea of being a dollar bull at the moment. Yeah, Japan has the bank rate as well as the ECB with the US next week. Yeah, next week's going to be a biggie, real biggie. A lot of volatility coming into the market next week, definitely. But yeah, like dollar yen opportunities here. Again, still kind of just waiting to see how price forms here. We've had a bit of a move up, bit of a move down. If I just show you that on a 4-hour time frame, very similar to what we were looking at on the dollar index, where price came back into that sort of daily support zone. We've rallied. What I like is that we've taken out this kind of bearish channel that was forming. So we've taken that out. Price has retraced back down. So I quite like the idea of watching around here for some potential opportunities to the upside. So yeah, we've had a nice higher high, higher close candlestick here on the 4-hour time frame. So again, really strong positive candlestick going on there. What I like to see as well is on the 15-minute time frame, we're getting those higher highs and higher lows. So all good here really for dollar yen for some potential upside. Yeah, targeting that 142 would be something I'd be interested in. Right, guy, how do you deal with the current low volatility in the market? Do you trade differently during this time? No, not necessarily. I don't really trade any differently than I would normally. I think you just got to take into consideration that, if it is low volatility, that maybe you're not going to see the sort of speed of your trades play out, or minor sort of news events can drag the markets more aggressively as well. So that's what we kind of saw yesterday, or even overnight with the RBA. So you just got to be a little bit more aware. I wouldn't necessarily trade differently, but if you feel like you're personally getting sort of, maybe stopped out more or things like that during this type of period, maybe just lower your risk essentially to kind of cope with that volatility. Because at the end of the day, we prefer higher volatility to be able to bank on those kind of larger moves in the market. So yeah, I can understand that you can be a little bit frustrating for sure. But yeah, I can understand if you would sort of change your style up slightly. What about gold? Yeah, we'll go check out gold in a second. Let's go along to Aussie US dollar. I had big hopes for Aussie US dollar downside last week. Didn't get it at all. Now, what I was watching for was this weekly bearish close outside of this consolidation pattern that was formed. And yeah, I was very much interested in shorting Aussie US dollar down into the 0.64 level. That was mainly due to, at the time, Aussie was heavily sort of weak at that time. I did kind of expect the RBA to hold, which I think would have been a little bit more on the negative side of things for Aussie. But instead, they have hiked. So, and I think we had some not GDP data out last week. We go back to last week's data. Yeah, we had CPI out as well last week, which came in at 6.8%, above the 6.3s. We obviously then had the whole situation with the US dollar non-farm payroll as well. But Aussie US dollar didn't really get hit that bad compared to other markets. Now, we've had that kind of double bottom reversal situation going on here now. So I'm kind of just sitting on my hands here with Aussie. What I didn't want to see was price closing back above the 65.75 handle. And that's exactly what we did by the end of last week. So yeah, I was very much just kind of waiting to see how this week plays out, not really get involved too much with the Australian dollar. But it's quite interesting to see how strong Aussie is really compared to other markets. And, maybe we're going to see that strength continue. And that's what I'm kind of interested in at the moment. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I quite like pound Aussie. Actually, I've been looking at pound Aussie. It came up into the weekly highs. If I just go to the weekly chart, you can see this one spot 92 handle, the highs all the way back in January 2022. Also, the highs back in August of 21. So I was quite interested in seeing a potential short there. I actually bring on a relative strength index. You can see that we actually had weekly divergence here. So you can see price made a higher high, but the RSI made a lower high. And I quite like using the RSI on a weekly chart, especially when you see these type of divergences, because they can lead to some decent moves. So maybe we're going to see a bit of a move down now on pound Aussie, maybe going to target back towards that 1.83 sort of area, these kind of highs that formed previously as well. So quite like the opportunity on pound Aussie if that continues. If that weekly chart closes like that going into next week, what we should see is a development of a downward trend form. So what I mean by that is if we get then a lower high, that could then produce an opportunity for us to trade down to the next supporting level. So like I said, 1.83 or 1.8250, and then even down to the 1.7275 could be something to be aware of as well. Trading through this nice trend line resistance or support now as well. So yeah, daily lower high is probably something I'm going to be watching for here on pound Oz. Let's jump over to gold then. Gold, really interesting market at the moment because you've got to consider what's going on with the US dollar, starting to see the dollar strengthen, heading towards the sort of 105 area. Yet on gold, we are trading around the 1950 area. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that the market is starting to accumulate sort of that gold position in and around this 1950? This is what we've been kind of looking for, really, is if this 1950 would hold. Now, I've put two sort of trend lines on here, all coming down from this low back in October. First connection was this low, second connection is this low, just to kind of give me a bit more of kind of what's going on the longer term side of things. And it just shows you, I think, how important this 1950 high or zone has become to price, because I think if that dollar strength was going to aggressively continue, we may have seen sort of a break towards the 1890, but we haven't had that. Now, I was long gold last week. I was long gold into this high of 1980. Come out of my positions there. Was happy to sort of target that point, because at the time, the US dollar index was sort of breaking higher as well. Gold was following that sort of perfectly. We've then dropped down since. We've come down into those key supporting lows. Another rally has occurred, and look at price, it's just consolidating here. So, again, what is that kind of showing us? It's showing us that buyers and sellers are trying to get involved here, and they're having a bit of a battle at the moment. So, we may see price start to break this. I think the key for any kind of long-term gold moves is going to be a break above these highs, isn't it? Because we've rejected in at these highs 3 times now. So obviously sellers are quite liking this area here around about the 1985 handle. So if we get another move, it'll be into this 1985. Again, what happens at this point then? Does price start to break down? Maybe we start to see a developing range form, or do we trade through that and then start seeing that breakout to the upside there? So yeah, a couple of interesting things going on here for gold at the moment. I just find it quite interesting, the fact that the dollar's still kind of making its way higher and gold is being supported. So we looked at correlations before, and we've got to maybe they can consider the correlation between Aussie US dollar and gold at the moment. Aussie strong, usually they kind of work in tandem as well. So is there a potential that that's what's keeping that gold price up as well, that correlation at the moment. Hi, Prince Caleb. Slippage this morning on cable, guys. I was in a swing long. Okay, let's have a look. Was there some data out of the UK this morning? Can't really see any data. There's potential, yeah. I'm not going to say definitely it's going to come back into 1980 because obviously we don't know. What I would say is that if price is going to break through these minor highs that we've got sort of support in here at 1963, then the next likely stop is going to be this sort of 1980 area, 1985, because that's where we found that resistance in the past. So yeah, that's the way I would kind of look at that in there. Hi Calvin, don't know if I said that already. Steffi Gold, yeah, hopefully that's answered some questions on gold. We could even look at the sort of lower time frames on gold, see if we kind of, you can see in a little bit more detail that sort of consolidation that's being built up here as well. So yeah. Roberto, retail sales at 12:01 AM GMT missed. I can't see that on mine. Is that because I'm looking at last week? That would help, wouldn't it? Probably gonna have to open up the filters. Just have a look. No, I can't see that on mine. Can't see that on mine. Another way, if we break 1950 some way but sell, yeah. So what I would say, if you were looking to be short gold, I'd only be looking below this low here. So if we were to trade beyond that, then I'd be looking to continue to look for sort of gold shorts there. I think at the moment, I do still like gold longs. Now, we haven't really seen much in the way of commitment of trader reports on gold. Unfortunately, I was hoping to see some aggressive sort of buying from the commercial contracts, but we're not really seeing that at the moment. In fact, we've started to see a little bit of an increase. But yeah, we haven't really seen anything kind of going on here at the moment, which would make me think we're going to see a huge move just yet. But maybe price is going to wait here. We'll probably sit here until the FOMC meeting. Sorry guys, you might be able to see the dog in the background. Yeah, the FOMC meeting minutes. The FOMC meeting next week, the Federal Reserve rate decision next week is, we'll probably just range until that happens, unfortunately. I was going to break down a couple other charts. So Aussie obviously being quite strong at the moment, the yen fairly weak, and we're starting to break out of this zone as well. So this is something interesting to have a little look at. I actually thought that when we had this rejection in here sort of last week, that we were going to see that sort of potential move to the downside there for Aussie yen. We were looking at this kind of short-term breakout as well. We didn't get that in the end. Prices started to trade to the upside, and now look, we're trying to break out of these highs here. So, we need to wait to see how price reacts. So if we just move this up here, let's just grab a little bit of a look into that. So it's around about the 93 handle. In there, let's just add a little price label on that so we can all see that. And let's just open that up like that. Yeah, so we're coming into this 93 handle now. Nice zone that price could be coming into. Again, if I just go to that weekly chart, kind of looking at this as like what's going to potentially happen here. Now, if I expect dollar yen to move higher, you know, are we expecting this to be more of a yen generated move? And if that's the case, are we going to see price kind of extend up to these next levels of resistance? So, I mean, we've talked about sort of yen weakness for a while, but did we kind of expect this sort of extreme move coming from there? No, because seasonally yen through June can be quite strong. So I was actually looking to see if that yen strength would start playing out, but I haven't really got anything here that's backing up my case at the moment. So, you know, and if that's the case as a trader, you've got to adapt to the situation rather than getting fixed in your bias. And I think at the moment, although we're only coming into the supporting area or resistance area, we have to be a little bit of aware of sort of what's going on at the moment. And the market is definitely, I would say, in more of a sort of risk on mood than it is risk off. And when we get in that risk on mood, the likes of Aussie yen and markets like that seem to perform quite well. So just going to mark out the high in here as well, guys. So I just like to make sure that I've got everything sort of marked out. I'm going to call this 98.50. We'll see if that stays within the range of that high, and it does. So if I just zoom in a little bit, I just like to mark the charts out like this, get a little bit of establish a little bit of support and resistance there. So if I just pop this zone in here, there we go. So yeah, breaking through all them structure points at the moment. How's price going to react here? Now, usually if I'm on this sort of weekly time frame looking at this, you know, I'd be saying, well, I need to sort of wait to see how price reacts now, because what if we get a big reaction here in terms of sort of the 4-hour chart? Okay, so I was watching that breakdown here last week, didn't quite get that. Let me just get rid of this as well. But what if price starts to reject it and around there and then come back and give us that double top pattern? What happens if price does this on our RSI? Maybe we'll get that kind of sort of divergence going on. So there's potential there for that as well. But we'll see. We'll see. I like the fact that, well, the fact of the matter is Aussie is strong at the moment, yen is weak. So what's the likelihood is? The likelihood is that 93 level is going to get broken, isn't it? And it's probably going to start looking for the next level of resistance, which is quite a way away if we're looking at that. It's about 250 pips away. So could be a big move coming up on Aussie yen. Let my tea go cold. Any questions, guys? There is a chart that I did want to look at. Someone's posted a chart, sorry. Carre, short Aussie Swiss. Short Aussie Swiss. Let's have a look at the Aussie Swiss chart. Let's bring in that. And let's try and take all this off. Let's go and have a look at the weekly chart. Now that's a market I wouldn't short. This was very similar to CAD Swiss that we looked at before, and I was looking at getting long CAD Swiss because there's like a potential sort of 1,000 pip trade going on there. But yeah, no, I would not be looking to short Aussie Swiss right now. I mean, if anything, so let's just say, you know, we're looking at it from trend perspective. Let's ignore sort of what's going on left of this red line here, and we take a look at it just in consolidation here in isolation. We'll just highlight this area. You can see that the market is making lower lows and lower highs. So yep, trend is down. So we can check off the fact that the monthly trend is down. What I like to then do is kind of look at it in phases. So you've got your impulse phase, retracement phase, impulse phase, retracement phase. That to me, I would consider is a retracement phase, because we're starting to trade through that monthly high there. We've got sort of an inside candle that formed. So that to me looks like it's in a pullback. And if it's going to pull back, where could it pull back to? Potentially those monthly lows in there. So that could be an area that we sort of look to target in the short-term upside. Then you might get your conditions that see price trade lower from there. So that's something you could look at. If we have a look at the weekly, again, let's just add in the RSI indicator. There might be something here. Okay, well, we didn't technically make a lower low there. So we can't really take that too much into consideration on a divergence point of view. But it does look like we've got that double bottom, and price looks more likely to kind of head towards this area here, doesn't it? So yeah, I'd say 62.25, maybe even the 62 handle would be something of interest for those buyers down through there. But if anything, it looks quite good for a long, doesn't it? So not looking for the short now. Sorry, from 60. Sorry, I didn't realize you put a level in there. 69.75. 69.75. Hang on, let's just actually put that in. Is that the level? So have a quick look at that on the daily. Yeah, I can see why you're looking at that. You're looking at sort of this zone in here. That's your area of interest. There could definitely be some sales coming in from that area. Absolutely. I would prefer to be short up here because you've got that big level of interest at that point. But obviously, you know, we know these things don't move up in a straight line and then, you know, move in line with our theories. You'll probably get a retest there, maybe a breakout, maybe a continuation and things like that going on. So yeah, there's definitely something you could look at there. You can see we're kind of breaking through all this sort of trend as well. Might move that down to here, breaking out through that trend line as well. Yeah, I mean, Aussie Swiss looks good, doesn't it? I think if you're going to look for anything back in this zone here. Potential for a move to the upside there. So something to consider. I quite like that trade, actually. Quite like that market. I'm going to set an alert in and around there. See if we get that kind of pullback coming in on Aussie Swiss. So that's a good shout. I like the double bottom there as well. New Zealand Swiss made what looks like a double bottom on the weekly, so I assume that's going to look exactly the same as this on Aussie Swiss. Actually, to be honest, I was quite keen on looking at Euro Swiss, although we may see that the euro isn't that strong at the moment. I was looking at Euro Swiss because we're approaching these sort of monthly lows down through here. So obviously Aussie Swiss is good to look at, Kiwi Swiss is good to look at, but maybe Euro Swiss is the one that's going to lag behind slightly. You know, and we're coming back down into this area now. So, and we're going to start to see maybe some buying from here now. This is a really interesting chart. Obviously, we had this low that formed back in 2014. Price then came in and broke through those lows, which I didn't really expect to happen. I thought that we would get a rebound from those lows, but we did not. And yeah, it traveled a little bit lower, didn't it, before kind of bouncing back to the upside. But yeah, weekly starting to slow down here. We're starting to get those kind of low ranging candlesticks. If we go into our RSI as well, you can see that it's kind of flattening out here. If I just change the RSI to a lower, let's see if we get the 7 RSI in here. 7 RSI is showing that we're starting to come into that sort of over bought condition there, but that's only because we've changed the time frame down a little bit. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens here. Oh, sorry guys, I've just got an update to say that the internet's not very good, so I apologize if it's going off and on. Let me know if you can still hear me. Looks like it might have just rebooted. I've had problems all day today, so hopefully you can still hear me. If not, I might have to cut this a little bit shorter. Yeah, it looks like it's going a bit wacky. You can hear me? My chart is going crazy. I'm guessing the picture's gone. Good on Denise's end. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm having problems all day today. But anyway, if I'll finish Euro Swiss off, and then I might have to head off there. But yeah, quite like watching Euro Swiss at the moment. I think that we've squeezed down into this area. We kind of see the sort of head and shoulders pattern going on there as well, can't we? So you can see there's left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So definitely something going on there. This daily close is quite interesting as well. So, maybe there's going to be an option to see price trade to the upside. The fact is that the euro is a little bit weak at the moment. So I don't really want to be engaging just yet. I want to see if we're going to see any further upside. Chart is frozen, but I'm okay. Well, if I'm frozen, then I have to wait and see. And now the dog's come to say hello. So I might have to end it early, guys. I apologize. But just kind of throwing it out there, still looking at the dollar, still looking at the potential for dollar to trade to the upside here. We'll see how that kind of plays out. Euro dollar, potential for euro dollar to come a little bit lower if that dollar index does move higher. Aussie has closed back within the weekly range, so I'm expecting some bullishness out of the Australian dollar. Quite like it against pound pound at the moment as well. We have that divergence going on, and price is just potentially going to be breaking through this channel through here and then continuing down. I have 7 dogs and 11 cats will trade for pet food. Have you just seen him get on the bed? Just got on the bed. It's giving me evil eyes at the moment. Right, so yeah, breaking through this kind of area here, looking for the move down to the 1.8250 handle as well. So yeah, those are the charts that I'm really interested in at the moment. Let's have a look at pound yen actually. Where's pound yen at? Yeah, pound yen's not looking particularly interesting. Dollar CAD could be something to be aware of, something to be watching going into tomorrow. Yeah, Prince wants to walk. Yeah, he does. But we've kind of been ranging between the 1.3650 highs down to sort of the 133 area as well. Obviously, Canadian dollar has strengthened recently. We've had some really good data out of Canada, GDP wise and employment wise. So if we did get that shock that the Bank of Canada did hike rates in this meeting, then we could see price coming down into the 133 handle. Whether we see continuations, then who knows? But buyers might be interested down at these swing lows through here. So it could be something for an area to target on a move to the downside. So definitely keep your eyes on that one. Any questions before I leave it there, guys? I'm going to leave it there just in case the internet continues to be wild. We'll be hosting another webinar on Thursday. Last week, we kind of went through a bit of a reversal pattern, but if there's anything in particular that you do want to see, then just let me know in the comment section on one of the videos. And yeah, I'll make sure I'll go and cover that. We've got some really interesting stuff coming up as well. I've done another pro Forex trader talk today, an interview today, so hopefully we can get that uploaded. It was a super interesting one with a guy that is really experienced in the markets, and I think you're going to love that one. So yeah, can't wait to show you that. So yeah, got some good stuff coming up. But yeah, keep an eye on that Australian dollar, guys. It looks like it's getting stronger. You know, there's maybe a potential on Euro Oz as well. I want to leave, but Euro Oz was on my mind as well, actually. So have a quick look. Yeah, very similar to Pound Oz. You've got that sort of head and shoulders structure in there. I was more focused on the pound, but you got that almost that double top there as well that's happened, and prices breaking down through. So yeah, maybe there's an opportunity here for Euro Oz to come back down towards the 1.59 handle maybe. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes on that one. But Aussie's where the action is at the moment, I'd say. And then you've got sort of your weaker players at the moment seem to be the Euro, seem to be a little bit of the pound as well. So those are what I would be keeping my eyes on, and the Swiss franc. So thank you for pointing that one out. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I think it was Carrie actually that pointed out Aussie Swiss, so that's a good one to watch as well. So I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Thank you for joining me today. Sorry for the internet problems. I'll hopefully get them sorted soon. And yeah, I will speak to you on Thursday. Have a great rest of your evening, or if it's the start of your day, have a great day. And happy trading. Hope it all goes successfully for you.